Greetings to you all. Have you ever been the first person to receive some really good news? Have you then been allowed to share this good news with others? I love to see the reaction on people's faces as good news is shared around. Mary Magdalene had a similar opportunity to share good news, but one with a unique message. What do we know about Mary Magdalene? Mystery has often surrounded Mary. When she is first mentioned in Matthew chapter 27, we know nothing about her story. However, in Luke 8, we receive some insight into her background. She's identified by her name as a woman with 7 demons who Jesus heals. But speculation has also arisen about Mary Magdalene. It has often been thought that Mary is the unnamed prostitute who anoints Jesus' feet in Luke 7. However, there is no evidence to support this claim. Mary has remained tainted by this speculation. As a result, people's reactions about her continue to be mixed. We need to leave all that speculation aside. What is important is that Mary Magdalene became one of Jesus' most trusted and closest disciples. What she should be remembered for is her courage and her faith. I want to pick up her story at Matthew 28. This chapter shows Mary Magdalene's true courage and faith during a most difficult time. It could perhaps be described as one of the saddest points in the gospel narrative. Jesus had died and was already in the tomb. Still grieving, Mary Magdalene arrives at the tomb that first resurrection morning with another Mary. What happens next is so unexpected. Mary is witness to the miraculous, which has left her both out of breath and afraid, said verse 5. For Mary is witness to an event that would change the course of history. 2 things are significant in this passage that we can learn from Mary Magdalene. First, Mary Magdalene shows great courage. Mary Magdalene shows great courage and runs the risk of going to the tomb that morning. It had only been 2 days earlier that the disciples had run for their lives. They were scared to know what might happen to them. Yet she did not give this a second thought. Even in Matthew 27, we see Mary Magdalene standing at a distance while they crucified Jesus. As the other disciples ran away in fear, she courageously stayed close enough to witness his agonizing death. So when Mary decides to go to the tomb 2 days later, she again shows great courage. She did not stop to wonder if there might be any danger for her to go to the tomb. Was it Mary's grief that drew her to the tomb? Or was it her need to feel close to the one who had affirmed her as a person and as a true disciple? Whatever the reason for this early morning visit, her grief or her fear did not stop her. Mary made the courageous decision to be there. In this act of courage, Mary's faith is about to be made stronger. The visit of an angel declares to her the resurrection of Jesus. She is invited into the tomb to prove what the angel had said was correct. This invitation was not only proof for herself, but would ultimately be proof for the other disciples. For Mary Magdalene would need to be a witness to what she had seen. The second thing that we can understand about Mary is that she was entrusted with a message. This act of faith and courage makes her the most appropriate witness. In Mary Magdalene's society, being a woman and a witness did not count like it did for a man. Like shepherds, a woman's testimony was met with suspicion. It required more than one woman to be present to be an authentic witness. And yet Mary Magdalene and the other Mary was asked to give witness to what she had seen. She is a woman disciple entrusted with a great message. Jesus was no longer dead, but alive. In verse 7, she is told, "Then run and tell his disciples that he has risen from the dead." Run and tell his disciples. Mary Magdalene knew what to say. Her courage and her faith would be the key to what she had been chosen to do. The courage she showed at the tomb would be the same courage she now required to tell the other disciples. The evidence of the empty tomb now gave her a deeper understanding of what she could see with the eyes of faith. Her testimony would be made all the more real by this experience. Mary runs to tell the other disciples of what she had come to know and to experience in her heart. And in verse 8, we see Mary Magdalene's response. They rushed quickly to tell his disciples, and their hearts were deep in wonder and filled with great joy. How does Mary Magdalene's story of courage and faith inspire you and I? Mary's story shows us that even in everyday circumstances, she was prepared to be courageous. Despite her own feelings at the time, she shows great courage. There is no such thing as the perfect time to be courageous. Sometimes it simply comes down to our willingness to say yes. It is our willingness to take the first steps towards something that God might be asking us to do. Like Mary's story, our own faith gives testimony to the good news of Jesus' resurrection. When other Christians experience a lack of faith, our testimony can be of great encouragement to them. Our faith is deepened by our experiences of a life that is lived in the service of Jesus Christ. This not only encourages our heart, but can make a difference in other Christian lives. May you and I be inspired by Mary Magdalene's courage and faith. I leave this question with you to think about. What might God be asking you to do that requires you to be courageous? Do you have enough courage to say yes? As we live out our day-to-day life, may we be able to also testify to a strong faith in God. Blessings upon you each.